community. And the result of SAR's research work helped many nations around the world to improve their economy. Now, I request our former Joint Commissioner Academics, Sir A.N. Ramachandra, to formally introduce SAR to the audience. Please, sir, over to you. Yes.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Respected Mashelkar, sir, respected commissioners, sir, respected teachers, and very dear students who are in the Zoom meeting today. We are all lucky to have Dr. Mashelkar, who had been the Director General of Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, as well as President of Indian National Science Academy, Institution of Chemical Engineers, Global Research Alliance. Like this, I can quote many titles behind him. He has also been the fellow of Royal Academy of Engineering, National Academy of Engineering, National Academy of Sciences for a long time. Having started his education from University of Bombay, Institute of Chemical Technology, again in Bombay, he started his career as a chemical engineer. And as Mr. Kannan has rightly introduced, he has been a popular figure in the science in India as well as across the world. As a director of National Chemical Laboratory, he served for a long tenure. I had the fortune of meeting him, and this has been a fascination for me ever since then. Once I was in Hyderabad when I heard Dr. Mashelkar is coming for the Indian Science Congress there in the Sri Ranga University, Agriculture University. We rushed just to have a glimpse of him. He's a scientist of a great order who has been consulting various top corporates in the world, Department of Science and Technology. He has also been the guiding source behind the Scientific Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister in India, and also he has been guiding many frontier areas of science and technology in the world. The process of CSIR transformation heralded and brought him a great name, not only to his title, but also to the country. Sir, today for your kind information, this group consists of at least 2,500 girl students who have been supported through Vigyan Jyoti project sanctioned by Government of India, Department of Science and Technology. This is purely for promotion of girl students to take them from school to scientist level. This is a very long drawn, ambitious program supported for a 1 year to begin with as a pilot. And this is your inspiration, your blessings, and the performance of the students to choose a science career probably will bring a great model for the country to prepare the scientists and bring most the very talented people into the science area. I take the opportunity of inviting our Commissioner, Shree Vinayak Gargji. He is an Indian Railway Service Officer of 1995, sir. He has a deeper interest in the rural education, as well as an in-depth view of education, as well as support to the science. His guidance has always been has taken a great turn in the school system in Navodaya Vidyalaya Samiti. I request our Commissioner to kindly formally welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Ramchandran. And Dr. Mashelkar will be part of these programs and giving the opportunity. As as everybody knows that you are the great scientist and Padma Vibhushans and part of so many industries. So there is a long list of the 2-3 pages which is attached to your career, this careers, sir. I'm also I'm very much fond of the science, and I passed from the IIT, so I understand your talk will be help the children in a great way. Though for the science has been joined, but there is another special program for 2,500 girls which are being supported by the Department of Science and Technology under the Vigyan Jyoti programs. So I'm focusing that's more the science is not only whether has to pursue the career in the science or not, but as a science, as a knowledge, this is what we thought. So, and your topic is very excellent. That's how can we help in building the dream? How we can help the dreams to achieve, fulfill the dreams in achieving the Atma Nirbhar Bharat. So everybody, and you are the part of so many organizations, so many corporate. You are on the board of so many corporate industries. You knew that how this India can become Atma Nirbhar Bharat. You definitely had a great vision, and every Navodaya children has a career in the minds, and how can they contribute in this Atma Nirbhar Bharat programs, and especially they also have their own dreams, but everybody wants to be the part of this Atma Nirbhar Bharat, and the best persons who can throw the lights, who can guide them, it will be definitely the you, because you have a strong, such a vast experience in the science and technologies research and on the corporate need of the corporate world. At times everybody wants to listen to you. So, sir, I again welcome you to give these lectures. And Navodaya children, sir, I have attended one of the programs. I've seen that it was done by the director DG Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore research, and they find that the children are having the very high creative thinkings and the curiosity, and they ask too many questions. So this is the specialty of the Navodaya children. So I will definitely like that. They will definitely learn a lot by your talk. So thanks a lot. And now I open the field to you, sir, to give about the blessings to the children for their future, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So, shall I begin my talk, Kannan sir, or?
Yes, sir. Yes,
sir.
sir.
Please, sir.
You can.
Please, sir. Please.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I consider this as a great privilege, great honor to be able to speak to you all, especially the children, because you are the future of India. And the future of India is in your hands to reinvent India, create the new India of our dreams. So some of my thoughts on how to build this new India. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Like, for example, this book that you see here. This is called Reinventing India. This is something that I wrote about 10 years ago in terms of creating a new India of our dreams, of our aspirations. And the need for reinventing has become now even stronger after this pandemic. Just look at the COVID pandemic. Just imagine what the word was on 1st January 2020 when we began the new year with celebrations. Would we have imagined the destruction of lives, livelihoods that has taken place just in last few months? Would you have imagined that just within 100 days, 100 million families would have moved from poverty to extreme poverty with income less than $1.9 per day? Would you have imagined that in 100 days, 450 million jobs would be lost. 150 million are from India. Would you have imagined that 1.6 billion children would be out of school and they would be working from home, and that includes you as you. Would you have imagined that there will be economic losses of something like $10 trillion? So therefore, this major devastation that has been caused in lives, loss of lives, like 1 million people around the world have lost their lives. And recovery from all this is going to be the challenge before you. So therefore, what I would like to say is that rather than just recovering back to the old position, here is an opportunity for us to rethink, redesign, reinvent new India of our dreams. That is the central point of my theme. And the dramatic changes are obvious. For example, who would have imagined work from home will be the new normal? People will not go to offices, people will not go to factories, and several billion people will be working from home. Who would have imagined education from home? Who would have imagined telemedicine, doctor to home, rather than patients going to the doctor via telemedicine, the doctor approaching, let's say, the home. Buying from home, for example, like e-commerce, you know, what would have happened in 10 years in e-commerce in the US took place in just 10 days. That is the rapidity of the change that has taken place. And therefore, what do we do under these circumstances is what we have to see. Now, our Honorable Prime Minister has inspired us all by saying that we must create an India that is Atma Nirbhar. Atma Nirbhar means self-reliant. We don't depend upon anybody. We are strong enough to take care of ourselves. But for becoming Atma Nirbhar, we require Atma Vishwas. What is Atma Vishwas? Self-confidence. Okay? So our theme has to be self-reliant India with self-confidence. Atma Nirbhar Bharat with Atma Vishwas. And that has to be done with Atma Sanman, dignity, self-dignity, so as to say. Now, you have seen that although we were a poor country, we made major advances in science and technology. The Western nations denied us so many technologies. We said, thank you very much, we'll develop our own. I remember I was member of Science Advisory Council to the Prime Minister in Mr. Rajiv Gandhi's time. And he asked us, we are a poor country, but we must be good at something. What is it? And I remember Dr. Rodam Narasimha was sitting next to me, a great man. He said, we are good at this. We are good with our mind. So what do we do with this? And at that time, I remember US had denied us supercomputers. So we said, we'll build our own. Forget about depending upon the US. And I remember I'm talking from the city of Pune, right here, just a couple of kilometers away. CDAC was created, Center for Development of Advanced Computation. Dr. Vijay Bhatkar was given a charge. And he was given $10 million in 3 years. And within less than 3 years, within less than $10 million, he was able to create Param 8,000. And you can see the impact that it had when we had Param 10,000, which was 100 megaflops computer that he developed. And the same Cray company, which had denied us the technology, came and said, now we are offering you. So therefore, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, our revered late president, always used to say, strength respects strength. You can extend your hand, but the person opposite to you will not shake hand with you unless your hand is strong. So there is no substitute to becoming strong. When US said cryogenic engine, we won't give you, we said, thank you very much. And our ISRO developed its own cryogenic engine. And you can see the kind of performance that we had. When we had the Mars orbiter mission, no country had succeeded in the first attempt. And we succeeded in the first attempt. Not even US, not even China. Nobody had succeeded. We succeeded in the first attempt. At a stretch, we launched 160 satellites, well, say 6 satellites, making a kind of a history that was never done before. So there is this great strength in us. So more you deny us, the more you pressurize us, we will be stronger. I still remember 11 May 1998, we did Pokhran 2, and that was the nuclear test, underground nuclear test. And suddenly the entire world put sanctions on us. Okay, we'll not give you this, we'll not give you this, etc., etc. And I remember I was in Delhi at that time. I was Director General of CSIR and also Secretary to Government of India. And I remember we had the Bhatnagar Prize ceremony. And as we were walking, basically after the function, we gave the awards away. Atalji was giving the functions away. And after that, we were slowly walking for having a cup of tea. And he said, he asked me, he said, Mashelkar ji, now US has put sanctions on us. What will happen as a scientist, technologist? What do you say? And I remember telling him that, sir, let them put all the sanctions. As long as we don't put sanctions on our mind, nobody can do anything. And you could see that was the big change that we have. So that is what I mean by self-confidence, that yes, we can. That is the feeling we must have. Now, in Atma Nirbhar Bharat, there are a number of different aspects so that our base has to be strong. The base in education, base in research, and base in innovation. And it is this education where Navodaya Vidyalaya is playing a fantastic role. And I was delighted to hear that there are so many girls. I'm delighted to hear when Honorable Commissioner mentioned that you like to ask questions. That is the crux of the matter. You must ask questions. You must be bold. You must be thinking. You must be creating. Now, I'll tell you something interesting. There was a discussion that was going on among the scientists, which is the most powerful equation that scientists have created. And you also start thinking about it. One of them said, well, Newton's second law, force equal to mass into acceleration, F equal to ma. You all remember your school days. Then somebody said, no, it is Einstein, E equal to mc square. E is energy, m is mass, c is velocity of light. And I was just keeping quiet. Then somebody came to me, you're not saying anything at all. I said, I don't agree. It was not Newton, it was not Einstein. They said, no, Newton, no Einstein. You have a bigger equation than that? I said, yes. The equation is E equal to F, the greatest equation. What is E? E is education and F is future. Education is future. And therefore, India's future lies in your education. Okay? Now, you would say you are a scientist, you have to prove the equation. If you have, so I will prove it to you. The proof came on 17 March 2010. What happened on that day? 17 March 2000. What happened on that day? You know, K.R. Narayanan was the president of India, and he gave away the Padma Awards. And there were two people who received Padma Awards from him at the same time. Who were they? One was Ratan Tata, and second was Raghunath Mashelkar. That is myself. Now you say, how does that prove the equation? I will tell you why it proves the equation. I was born in a very poor family. My father died when I was 6. I was born in a village, Mashe. That's why I'm Mashelkar. My mother was illiterate. She brought me to Mumbai in search of a job. She did menial work to bring me up. 2 meals a day was a challenge for us. Eating twice a day. I walked barefoot until I was 12. I studied under street lights. All right. And in SSC, secondary school certificate, at that time, it was not 10th or 12th standard, it was 11th standard. In the entire state of Maharashtra, with 135,000 students, I had stood 11th. And yet I was going to leave education because my poor mother could not afford it. And then came Tatas. And they gave me a scholarship, which was just 60 rupees per month. That's how I could study. Now, if you look at K.R. Narayanan, he was also born in a very poor family. He used to walk several kilometers to his school. His parents could not afford his education or tuition fees. So inside the classroom, the teacher will be talking and he will be standing outside and taking notes. He was borrowing books. Okay. He also could go ahead in life and study because of a Tata scholarship. So here was the president who was there for because of Tata scholarship. Here I was there for Tata scholarship. And this president, who could only study because of Tata scholarship, was giving Padma Bhushan to Ratan Tata, the head of the Tata families. Can you now see the power of education? The power of education. All right. Now, that is why I'm able to speak to you. That is why you invited me. Because if I was not educated, but that is not the case. It is not only education, but it is opportunity. It is education plus opportunity that will bring your future. You can get your degree, but if you don't get opportunity in life, what will you do? So I'll tell you another anecdote. You know, there is what is called as National Innovation Foundation. This is about grassroots innovation because we believe that 1.35 billion Indians is not 1.3 billion mouths. There are 1.3 billion minds. Everyone is someone, everyone can think, everyone can generate ideas. So it could be a farmer, it could be school dropout, it could be an artisan, they generate ideas, all right? And therefore, this National Innovation Foundation looks at their ideas, tries to take them forward, funds them, helps them, the President of India gives them awards and so on and so forth, etc. So we had to select the Chief Innovation Officer. And I remember I was chairing the committee. And one of the candidates came and he had his CV, biodata. So I read that and I found that he's good at branding. He had branded a refrigerator, he had branded a soap, he had branded a car. So I said, here is my question. I want you to brand my India. So he got puzzled. He said, how do you brand a nation? So I said, I will give you a hint. US, America brands itself as a land of opportunity. How do you brand India? And you know what was his instant response? India is a land of ideas. Now here is a good news. India is a land of ideas. But here is a bad news. It is only the US which is land of opportunity. That is why you find that our young people live and go to the US. But those days are changing now. I'm so very happy that our young people are not only coming back after getting their educated, but they are getting opportunities in our country. So education plus opportunity is going to be the crux of the matter. Now, education has changed. You know, we always talked about right to education. That everybody got. But then from there, we must move to right education. And then to right way of education. Now, what do I mean by right way of education? Let us see how education has changed. Education 1.0, the first phase was Gurukul, where there will be a teacher and there will be one student. That's it. Guru, Shishya. Guru had all the knowledge and he would give it to the Shishya. From there, the second phase was education 2.2, like all of us have done. The teacher teaches in one class and there are 30 students, 40 students, 60 students, and so on and so forth. Okay. So that is one to all. It's an assembly line approach. Now, education 3.0 is the online learning, digital learning, so as to say. And there the way has changed absolutely dramatically, as you yourself are experiencing in a way which we had never sort of thought before. And that is where I believe our next challenge is going to be. Because as I said, 1.6 billion children have been out of school and they study from home. But 1/3 of them almost do not have access to either a smartphone like that I have, or to an iPad that I have, or to this computer, MacBook Pro, from which I am speaking. So a poor Mashelkar, if he was just given 60 rupees, he could study, but not anymore. He has to be not only given that 60 rupees, but also access to these. And that is where you are seeing stories, which are very sad. Just a couple of days ago, a girl in Maharashtra, in Satara, 15-year-old, committed suicide because she didn't have a smartphone. And these stories are coming from everywhere, all across the country. And there is a story of one man, Kuldeep Kumar, in Himachal Pradesh. He sold his only cow for 6,000 rupees to buy the smartphone for his 2 children, basically. So what we must therefore do is that the digital devices must be the right of children all across. And therefore, digital donation is going to be important, not just a donation of money. Okay. I was inaugurating something in US on the other day, and I said, you should do the digital donation. And they have promised 25,000 laptops, and support of $1 million instantly within 24 hours. Okay. So we need the education for all will become possible, and education is the future. The future will become possible when we empower the generation with this technology. I think that is extremely important to realize. Let us move now to what is the right education. Now, what is happening is the pace of change of technology is so rapid, okay, that many things that the human used to do, machines are doing, like robotics, automation, okay? And because of that, there is going to be a loss of jobs. So we have to do a lot of reskilling. And there will be new jobs that will come up because there are technologies now, like artificial intelligence, robotic processes automation, virtual augmented mixed reality, sensors, 3D printing, 3D visualization, mobile internet, cloud, big data analytics, open data, blockchain, etc., 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 Internet of Things, and so on. So these exponential technologies will displace jobs, okay? And therefore, what are the alternative jobs that will be created? Just let me give an example which will appeal to you immediately. Like, for example, we have Uber now, all right? Just use your smartphone and within 5 minutes, you get a car, okay? So that is creating jobs for drivers. But at the same time, there is a technology that is moving on driverless cars, where no driver is required. So Uber is creating jobs for drivers, and driverless cars are taking away the jobs. And therefore, new technology will require new forms of labor, and therefore, we'll have to look at these new jobs. And there are 55 new jobs that are actually coming up. Now, if you just see, for example, artificial intelligence, what is it going to do? See, we used to use a human being, his brawn, the sort of his strength, as well as his brain. Now, brawn, if it is taken away by automation and robots, but what about the brain? Okay, thinking. Now, that also is being taken away by artificial intelligence. Now, just to give you an example, like in chess, you remember a machine had beaten Gary Kasparov a long time ago, IBM machine. But now something new is happening. What is new? That in late March 2016, this machine AlphaGo, there is a game called Go, which is a Chinese game, basically. It beat the world champion, Lee Sedol, who has won that title, world title, for 18 times, all right? And what is most important, apparently, according to experts, AlphaGo, the move that it made in move 37 in game 2, had 1 in 10,000 chance that a human will make it. What does it mean? That means the same machine that we talk, all right, and which we thought will always follow us, is going ahead of us. Okay. So what will happen is that a lot of these jobs that we do by taking long, many hours will change. And therefore, when we say Atma Nirbhar Bharat and creating new jobs, etc., we have to see where the jobs are going to change. For example, insurance. Much of what insurance brokers and insurance underwriters do today can be done by computers using big data and machine learning. Because formulae have been used for decades to determine how much insurance a person is qualified for and at what rate, but new tools will automate the decision-making speeds to seconds, within seconds. What you used to do in months will be done in seconds, for example. In financial industry, algorithms can now analyze financial data and prepare accounts without the need of accountants. Bank tellers have already been replaced by ATMs. So many old jobs are going, but there will be new jobs that will be always coming, like lawyers and paralegals. You know, in the discovery phase of a lawsuit, lawyers and paralegals can be required to sift through thousands of documents, you know, the big books that you see, okay? And you take several hours, several days. Now, sophisticated databases can use big data techniques, including syntactic analysis, keyword recognition, to do the same task within hours, basically. So, therefore, what is the prediction of new jobs for India while we are talking about Atma Nirbhar Bharat? So, we have to realize that at present, only 18% of country's workforce is formally skilled. So, skill development and employability will remain the key challenge for us in agriculture, in services, in manufacturing. And there are new trends that will affect us, by the way. Increasing nationalism, rapid adoption of exponential technology, increasing the, reducing the overseas job market. You have seen what President Trump did for the H-1B visas, level of FDI flows, you know, new models of business innovation, so many changes that are going to take place. But I want to assure you, it is not man versus machine. It is going to be man and machine. They will have to work together. That's why I never say robots. I say cobots, cooperative robots. And we have to basically learn that. And very quickly, we have to see what new jobs will come up. Just take auto industry. You know, in India's automotive industry, showcases of usage of increased automation were obvious, right? Right here in Pune, we have Tata Motors, and if you see there are robots. But while the plant level automation of most OEMs remains 30%, level in body shop is beyond 95%. Now, auto companies are increasingly deploying smart robots and artificial intelligence capabilities that are able to adapt, communicate, and interact with each other and with humans. So, same thing in the retail sector. The cashier will go, inventory assistants will go, sales representative will go, stock buy will go, and there will be new jobs like IT process molder. We have to train people for that. Digital marketing specialist. We have to train people for that. Customer experience leader. We have to train people like that. So therefore, I think the simple point I'm trying to make is that with the change that is taking place, industry is changing. Industry 1.0, you know, was all steam engines. Industry 2.0, when electricity came and we started assembly line. Industry 3.0, when IT and IT services came. But Industry 4.0 is all these technologies that I talked about. And we have to prepare our young generation for this purpose. So that is my second point. The third point is, in Atma Nirbhar Bharat, Make in India becomes very important. So our visionary Prime Minister had pushed us for Make in India. But Make in India, to me, is not just assembled in India. It has to be invented in India. Innovation is going to be the key. Just to give an example, look at this iPhone, okay? This is made in China. Who makes it? Foxconn. How much do they get for each iPhone that they produce? $15. That's all. But how much Apple gets for each iPhone? It gets $300. Okay? So you get for manufacturing only $15, but you create 4.5 million jobs there in China. Okay. Now, what are the options before India? First is just sweat it out, create jobs, but just get $10, $15. This other option is that don't do that, just be like Apple, think and create. You'll get much more money, but very few jobs. Okay. But the third is not only do this, get that $10 or $15, also think, create, and get $300. Okay. That has to be the aim. So what it means is that not just make in India, invent in India, create in India, so that you can create more value for yourself. If you don't do that, what are the penalties? We have seen that. For example, look at mobile manufacturing. 2015, and just 4 years after that, 2019. 2015, what happened? We had Indian mobile manufacturer had 45% share. That means 1 out of 2 mobiles that was made in India was what the customers were using. From 45%, it came down to 7%. Then somebody else must be have taken that market. Who did that? Chinese. When we were 45%, they were just 9%. But when we came down to 7%, they went up to 68%. That means they took away our. Why was that? Because Indian companies were just doing assembling, getting parts and then putting them together. Whereas Chinese were innovating, thinking, creating sort of user-friendly interfaces and so on and so forth, etc. So my central point is that education, research, and innovation are going to be the basic key. Education disseminates known knowledge, research creates new knowledge, and innovation converts knowledge into wealth. And all these three have to basically go together. And that is where when we talk about startup India, etc., that is innovate in India and create jobs in India, not just go and seek jobs in India. So that is the second point, the third point I wanted to make. Then the most important part is about looking at what are our needs. We have seen, for example, all the fault lines of all the nations became very clear as soon as COVID came. The public health systems started collapsing, and we saw the migrant laborers walking hundreds of kilometers. All right. The children, the pregnant women, the old people, some of them dying. It was a pathetic sort of situation. Okay. So that is the India that we have. And therefore, what we have to look at is that what do we do with rural villages, for example? What do we do with rural education? How do you create rural opportunities? Okay. So all those migrants who have gone back are again sort of coming back, but under what conditions they are sort of living. So there has to be a big rethink. On one hand, we are talking about all these high technology and what is going to happen. But how do we use technology to make a difference? On 2nd October, I gave a talk called Gandhian Engineering. You know, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, aeronautical engineering. You have not heard of Gandhian engineering, I'm sure. What is Gandhian engineering? Mahatma Gandhi had said 2 things. The first was, there is enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. Okay? That means you must get more from less. That means use your resources so that your grandchildren, their grandchildren will have something for them. That we don't exhaust all the resources. That is getting more from less. Okay? But he had also said that the fruits of science must reach to everyone. He had talked about Sarvodaya, if you remember. That means welfare for all, not just for some. So it is more from less for more. MLM, more from less for more. This is a talk that I had given in 2008 in Australia, Gandhian Engineering, and that became quite famous all across the world. So I spoke about it on 2nd. And I said, therefore, we must go back to what was Gandhiji's model on decentralized development. Not all development in cities, but actually going back to the rural villages. I remember when I was the Director General of CSR, Narasimha he was one of the greatest scholars that India has seen, by the way, amazing. He was the Prime Minister, and I had to make a presentation to him. Dr. Manmohan Singh was there as a finance minister at that time. And I remember he asked me a very good question. He said, Dr. Mashelkar, we had a mainframe computer, huge. But then from there, we have got a desktop now, right? That computer has come to our desk. Similarly, he said, if you look at textile mills, okay, why the migrant labor? Because all the textile mills were in cities, like Mumbai. So all people from villages like Konkan and others, they all migrated, poor people, and stayed under what awful conditions. So he said, why do we have to do that? Can we not create textile mills in villages itself? It was a great idea. I was dumbfounded with that great question. But then came the answer, from IIT Bombay, Kannan, Dr. Kannan created a technology which was incredible. All right. He created this fractal foundation which created that technology. And what was that technology? What would those Bombay mills do? They will take cotton from thousands of fields, thousands of cotton fields. Yeah, his idea was that don't go to thousands of them, just 10 villages across. Enough cotton. And then he created what is called as a microspin technology, where those cotton fibers, rather than baling them and then again making them lose, spending so much of energy and so much of this, etc., he created a simple process by which the microspinning could be done by using, the forces of buoyancy and alignment, and created fibers which are very, very special in texture, by the way, which could be run in a basic village. And the fibers and the texture was so good that it had properties of both khadi and malmal. Malmal and khadi. So it was called malkha. And it was done with energy which was 5 times less. It did not require these humidification chambers which would consume steam and therefore electricity and so on and so forth, etc. The village level income could go up. And those fibers became so popular that it was a fashion fiber for Paris, and it started getting exported to Europe. So when our Honorable Prime Minister said, make in India for the world, we can, provided it is high quality. And Malkha was an example like that. Now you can see this idea of decentralized development that Gandhiji had. Basically, you could actually do it. The other thing that I want to mention to our young people is that India will always have special needs. Like, for example, when pandemic came, we needed ventilators. We needed personal protection equipment. When the pandemic came, we were importing all the personal protection equipment, PPEs. But within 100 days, once again, Indian innovation was so great that we started actually exporting, not only meeting our needs, but exporting. That is the power that we have. Similarly, ventilators. We have villages where there is no electricity. We have cities where there is a power breakdown. We have conditions where you require medical oxygen, it is not available, pipe oxygen. So, Marico Innovation Foundation, of which I have been the chairman from 2003, Harsh Mariwala, he came forward and created what is called as a grand challenge, 2.5 crore, by the way. Okay. And within that, the idea was create breakthroughs in this pandemic, which will help us. And the kind of ventilators that were created now, basically, have unbelievable characteristics. Like they can work when there is no electricity, when there is electrical breakdown. It can work with semi-skilled workers. And even if pipe oxygen is not available, they will work, etc., etc., etc. So this is what I call as Indian innovation, innovation made for Indian country. That is very, very important. I'll give you 2-3 more examples. Like, for example, in my mother's name, I have this Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award. This is the 10th year of the award. inclusive innovation. Inclusive means don't exclude anybody. It is innovation for all, poorest of the poor. And I remember this is the 10th year. Last year, the award went to Bandicoot. Because as I said, man and machine, okay? Now we have these manual scavengers. The very idea of manhole is a bad one. Man in the hole, he loses the dignity when he goes into that hole. The machine should be doing that job. Okay, so they created robots. These Bandicoot young people, they created these robots which can go inside and do all the cleaning very fast and very rapidly and better than what this manual scavenger will do. But then you will say, what about their jobs? If the machine takes over, what happens to them? So what they did was that they trained them, by the way, to become robot operators. Now you can just imagine if that person, his children are going to school and somebody asks, what does your father do? How do they feel when they say it is manual scavenger? They don't have to do that now. What they will say is that my father is a robot operator. Okay, that is the difference that we have to make transformative. Then we had Rahul Rastogi, for example. His father was always down and out and with a heart problem. So he had to take him to the hospital, going kilometers basically. So he said, why do I have to do that? He's an electronics engineer, you know, brainy guy. And he created something which is half the size of this, basically, which, you know, like this, where you put your two thumbs for 15 seconds. And then this is your heart. Above the heart, 15, 15, 15 seconds, 15, 15, 15 seconds. And within 3 minutes, if you have downloaded an app called Sanket, the entire ECG goes there. And as accurate as normal ECG, which you do when you are sleeping and putting all those 12 leads, etc. Cost just 5 rupees per ECG, not 500, just 5 rupees. Now, what difference it can make? In a village, if there is an old lady who has a pain in the heart, you would have put her in a bullock cart or a scooter and taken her a few kilometers. Don't have to do that. Right there. This is as good as using a thermometer. You can do. There's another award, you know, women die of breast cancer, for example, because it is not detected. And some of them don't do that because it is painful, basically. So Mihir Shah, who was one of the awardees, came out with something which again is a small machine, which just moves around the breast. Eye brace, it is called, just $1. And now you can see such non-invasive, affordable method. No woman has to die out of sort of cancer, etc. So the main point I'm trying to make is that these are the kind of innovations that we will require. And if we do that, the whole world will go for it. Like the ventilators that I talked about. There is already an order, you know, for these from abroad, just last month, basically, 1,000 of them. So that's what the Prime Minister said, made in India, but for the world, because they are sort of special. I'd like to end my talk in 5 minutes by giving what I like to call as 10 Mashelkar mantras. I'm 77 now, so I have learned a lot by reading the books. But there is a book of my life from which I have learned. All right. So I will share my 10 lessons that I have in my life, and I hope they will be of use to you. So listen very carefully. The first lesson is like instant coffee. There is no instant success. There is no substitute to hard work. You have to work hard. As I said, I'm 77. I've worked day after day, 24/7, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and I will continue to do so till the last day of my life. But one advice I have, work hard in silence. Let success make all the noise. That's Mashelkar mantra number 1. Mashelkar mantra number 2 is there is a big purpose that you must have in life, but you must have perseverance and passion. You must pursue, you must pursue. Okay? It is always too early to give up. Quitters are never winners. Winners are never quitters. And you will fail, but you have to interpret fail in a different way. Fail is F-A-I-L, first attempt in learning. All right? Your last mistake is your best guru, and keep on learning. That's Mashelkar mantra number 2. Mashelkar mantra number 3 is Dikshant does not mean Shikshant. That means when you get your degree, that is the end of education, by the way. Lifelong learning, because as I just now said, the knowledge that you will have during graduation will become of no use within just 2-3 years. So continue to learn. That is very, very important. The other thing is focus. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. And therefore, you must focus on what you want to achieve. Then positive thinking always helps. Yes, I can spirit. If you have darkness, don't start, or suddenly electricity goes, don't start cursing the darkness. Go out and get a candle. That is a positive thinking, and light will come. If you have a half glass full, don't keep on looking at the half empty glass. Look at the full part of it. That is positive thinking. The next one, 7th one, is that always be a part of a solution, not part of a problem. You get any problem, try to find multiple solutions for that. And this is my complaint about our education system, by the way. Because for a single problem, there is one single solution. For a single question, there is one single answer. It is never like that. I normally do a competition when I'm talking to children, by the way. If you are all together, I would have done a competition. I take a glass of water and ask them, there is water in it. And I say, I have to take water out. What will you do? No water in that glass. First fellow says, pour it. Second says, break the glass. Third says, put it, under a burner. Put a burner below it so that it will boil away. Next fellow says, just keep it in the sunlight, it will evaporate away. Next fellow says, put a toilet paper and it will absorb. One fellow remembers the crow story, the putting the stones, etc. So 1, 2, 5, 10 solutions keep on coming. And then they stop. Around 8 to 10, they stop. And then I show them 42 ways of doing it. So you must become a problem solver, and our education system must also change so that there is no single answer to a single question. The questioning is excellent. The other thing, the 8th lesson is compassion in the heart. You will have passion in the belly, innovation, compassion for the society, like those migrant workers and this, that, and the other. Why did those college students create that bandicoot for manual scavenging? For centuries, who has bothered about that manual scavenging? They did that because there was a compassion in their heart for those people to give them. The other thing, and the 9th lesson, is aspirations. Keep always your aspirations high. If you aim at Everest, at least you will go up to Kanchenjunga. But if you aim at Kanchenjunga, you may not even go up to Hanuman Tekde. And if you aim at Hanuman Tekde, you will be where you are. And that is what I love about young people, by the way. I was talking to some young people recently, and I said, look, I'm always selling our Indian higher education system. Because it has produced so many. So I said, look at Satya Nadella, for example. He is part of he came out of our education system, and look at him. He has become CEO of Microsoft. Then look at Sundar Pichai. He's our product, and he has become CEO of Google. So you should also become one. And I had a surprise. One of the young fellows got up, very politely talked to me. He says, Sir, I can tell you, you don't understand what is going on in our mind. So I was surprised. I said, what is it? So he says, sir, your generation, your idea was to only go to US somehow. Next generation, go to US and get a job in Microsoft. Next generation, not only go to US, get a job in Microsoft, but become the chief executive officer. Not my generation, not our generation. We want to create our own Microsoft, our own Google here in our India. That is the aspiration. That's what Startup India has to be, basically. And the last point, and I will end here, is, as I always say, there is no limit to human endurance, there is no limit to human achievement, there is no limit to human imagination, excepting the limit that you put yourself. Like you saw in this pandemic, this girl, Jyoti Paswan, 15-year-old, her father had got his knee broken. poor, and she cycled for 1,200 kilometers for 8 days, by the way, and took him to the village, basically. No limit to human endurance, no limit to human achievement. And this was the lesson that I got, that I will leave with you. Mashelkar Mantra number 10. Professor C.N.R. Rao, or Bharat Ratna, he's the greatest scientist that India has today, one of the greatest in the world. I hope one of these days he gets a Nobel Prize. Just now the Medicine Nobel Prize has been announced. The chemistry and physics will be announced. I hope he gets it. He's a great man. So I remember I became Fellow of Royal Society, FRS. This is supposed to be an honor which is next to Nobel Prize. And you sign in the same book where Newton has signed. And I'm an engineering scientist. Only 3 engineering scientists in 360 years, from India, have signed. So I thought he will be very impressed. So I phoned him up, sir, I became FRS. You know what was his response? Not bad. So I was disappointed. Then there was this American Academy of Arts and Science, 1780. It was created by Benjamin Franklin and George Washington. 200 Nobel laureates of its members. And right from Charles Darwin to Winston Churchill to Einstein, everybody. But only 7 Indians from 1870. And I was the 7th. So I phoned him up. You know what was his response? Not bad. Then American Academy of Inventors. I was the first one. Forget about 7th and 3rd, etc. And I told him, he again said, not bad. Then I got upset. I said, sir, what do I have to impress you? And the lesson he gave me, I will leave you with that. He says, Mashelkar, you are climbing on the ladder of excellence, which is limitless. The only limit is what you put on it. Okay? So there is a lesson. No matter what you achieve in life, don't be alpasantushta. Don't be satisfied. You must have the divine discontent to do more and more. Now, you will be, let's say, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, 60. You will live for 100 years. No matter which day of your life, whether you are 18 or 80, every day you should get up and say, my best is yet to come. Maybe it will come today. And keep on doing it throughout your life. And if all of you do it throughout your life, then our nation, our Mother India, would be a great nation with its rightful place in the Committee of Nations, which is up there. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sir, now some few questions from children, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, Nagabhaskar, sir, any questions from children? Sir, before they're asking, there is a question I received from one of the children from our school. Sir, as CSIR Director General, you made the history in what you call getting provocation of patent of turmeric, basmati rice, neem, etc. to the patronage of India. Kindly throw some light on that area, sir. That yes, sir. In 1996 it happened, I believe. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yes,
no, that's a great story. See, what happens is that the ancient wisdom that we have is very, very precious. We don't respect it like these books that you see, modern books. Okay? But the books that have been written by working in the laboratories of life by our ancestors are very precious. So what happened was that I remember when I was director of MCL, I'll tell you the trigger. That is how the attitude you have to develop.
Yes,
so what happened was that when I was director of MCL, I was sitting on the terrace in summer, and my mother as well as my wife was there, and my son was there. And suddenly a bird came and fell, and one of its wing was broken. And I remember my mother ran and made took haldi, this turmeric, made it into a paste and applied it to the bird. And that bird died after a couple of hours. My son was feeding him. I remember water through his beak and etc. And we all cried. So that was in my memory. And then suddenly when I was in Delhi, I was reading Times of India, and I saw one newspaper report that the use of turmeric for wound healing was patented by US. So when you take a patent, that means your rights are I said, "Arey, my mother's mother knew it, my ancient. So how can you? So therefore, in the morning I read that paper, and in the evening, I don't think from here. I always think from here. So without taking minister, because I was supposed to take minister's permission and say, I said, no, I'm going to fight. Yes. And within 14 days, we won that war. And I argued when I was chairman of the standing committee, the World Intellectual Property Organization on SPIC, what they call a Standing Committee on Information Technology, with 141 nations, I argued with them. I said, you think the knowledge that is done in Harvard and Caltech and Cambridge and Oxford is knowledge, and not knowledge generated by my ancestors by working in the laboratories of life? How can that be? And that is where that difference came up. And then I went to US Patent, by the way, office, spoke to them how many wrong patents they are given. It was not just there were so many of them, basically. Okay? And then they said, why? Because we don't know what is in your head or what is in your old books. And that is where we created traditional knowledge digital library, where all that knowledge, that ancient wisdom was captured in a digital form. And today, no wrong patent is given by them, because it is all captured, and the patent offices have to see it. So they already know that we are new already. So therefore, they dare not do the patent. That was the historic thing. I think if that bird had not fallen and died, and my mother had not gone for that place, I don't know what it is. Basmati patent was different, Basmati would have had an economic loss because anytime that was patented there, we could not have sold it or we could not have exported it. And we earned thousands of crores by exporting it. So we had to basically fight that. That battle also I fought. So a lot of people would know me not because of my science, but because of this, as they say, Haldigati, the war that I fought, basically. But I'm very proud that we did that.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir? Sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So one of the student asked, but most of the countries, usually the China, Russians and all, they study the higher level of higher education in their mother tongue, Chinese one thing. But India, because of the diversity of our nation, different languages are there. So it might be also one of the barrier for innovation. Would you like to put a light? What are the steps taken by the government in this area, sir?
See, look, I will tell you. You want to know in what language I learned? Because I was so poor, I went to a municipal school, by the way. And I learned in my language, my mother tongue was Marathi. I studied in Marathi. And it made absolutely no difference. I'm talking to you today. So all these discussion about language, etc., I don't really worry about it. Our children are so bright that they are able to do their studies in different languages. The capacity of the brain that our children have, we underestimate, I would say, basically.
Thank you.
Actually, any other questions, sir? Till the others ask questions, some more area I want to bring it to your notice, sir. Sir, you have been conferred with innumerous number of awards at national as well as international level, including the highest civilian award of India, Padma Shree, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhusan. All such areas are there. But there is one award that is the highest honor given by the World Academy of Science. That was Lenovo Science Prize. Kindly throw some light on that, sir, for the benefit of our audience, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, see, that is a very precious award. This is considered as a Nobel Prize for developing world scientists. And the World Academy of Science actually gave it to me in Italy 2 years ago, basically. And I'm very happy that this award comes for the science that I did in National Chemical Laboratory, by the way. Okay. Now, why this is of great significance to me, I will tell you. And I'm the first Indian, by the way, to get that award, Lenovo Science Prize. Why I'm so proud is that when I came back to India, okay, I was trained in rheology and non-Newtonian fluid mechanics. So I needed an equipment. called Weisenberg reorganiometer, model R18. We did not have foreign exchange. I'm talking about 1976. There was the digitally clearance, not manufactured in India certificate, and so on and so forth. So what do? For 2 years, I had to wait, So I did not put my hands like this, That's why one of my messages that for the young, that when you keep on knocking on the door of opportunities, if the door doesn't open, you create your own no door. So I created my own new door by shifting my field to modeling and simulation. And for that, I got the Bhatnagar Prize, by the way, within 5 years, basically, which is the highest award for under 45. So we had even import of chemicals was impossible, import of the. So it was all idea-based research. So I always say, it is not the power of budget that wins, power of idea that wins. So most of the time when people talk about, we don't have resources, we are a poor country, so we can't, nonsense. What did Sir C.V. Raman have? How much money did he spend on his equipment for getting Nobel Prize? What did Ramanujan have? What will J.N. Ramachandran, who developed, this triple helix breakthrough? In fact, he should have got a Nobel Prize. He did not get all these people. Even Professor Sena Rao, Bharat Ratna, his early conditions, if you see how he built this spectrometer and so on, so forth, etc. So I'm particularly proud about this award because this is given to me for that science that I did. And there were breakthroughs, by the way. The work that we did, others followed. We were not following others, but we created something new, which was ahead of the rest of the world. The MITs of this world followed our work. And that was possible because of the power of the young minds that work with me. I don't take the credit, but the students, they take the credit. So I think this is symbolism, that it is the power of idea that matters. It is not the power of budget. So don't complain about lack of resources. You have to have ability to. That's why my book, this leapfrogging to pole vaulting. What is the symbolism there? The symbolism is leapfrogging. The frog leaps because he's afraid of the predator and just jumps a few feet. We should not be doing that. That's the reaction. We should be pole vaulting. The size of the pole determines the size of our aspiration. This book, although I'm a scientist, this got the best business book of the year award last year from Tata Literary Festival, by the way. So that's what I say. Your aspirations are your possibilities. Your ideas are your possibilities, and they can make the big difference. So the Lino Science Prize was given to a poor scientist in a poor laboratory who did world-class research, who means not me, my collaborators. They did world-class research, which was ahead of the world, and that is a symbolism.
Sir, before the children ask any sir, may I ask our Joint Commissioner Ramachandra sir to anything to be, sir?
Okay. Sir, can I ask one question, sir?
Please, sir, please. Please, sir, yes. Our Commissioner sir is
Sir, as you are associated with the science and the research and the so many industries also, one of my objective was that in the NEP also we are focusing on the vocational exposure to the vocational education. I'm also trying to connect with some of the industries that they can start some of the internship systems for the school going children also after the class 9th and the 10th. And they can also make some kind of the assessment also based on aptitudes and skill upgradation. So that's key if the children can develop some skills till the class 12th and he does not want to pursue the further education or so that he can be engaged in the industry, or some of the industries can even take care of his future educations and simultaneously he can do some work also. So this will be very good for the Navodaya children who are not getting some admission in some of the universities, but they had a very good skills capability also. For this, we want that industries should design the course and the internship systems and some assessment systems so that we can assess the children who have the skills. So your thought about this, sir? I'm trying in my own way to connect to some industries, but because you are already on the board of the so many industries. So can you just throw the light on this, sir?
Yes, of course. I think that's a great idea, because an early exposure about how industry works can make a big difference, by the way. Apart from, I mean, I remember my teacher, Principal Bhave, in school, by the way. He taught me science. And when I told the children just now that you can do anything, but not everything, so focus, that goes back to my teacher. And I remember one day he took us out into the sun. He had this convex lens. He had a piece of paper, moved it up and down, showed to us how to find the focal length. And then there was a bright spot, and then the paper burned. And then he turned to me and he said, like this, if you can focus, you can achieve anything in life. That was inspirational moment for me. And but it also gave me some further ideas about convex lens leadership, how the parallel sun's rays get concentrated, basically. So that kind of a leadership, etc. And the most important point pertaining to what you are saying is that, for example, soap making. How many of you have seen a soap factory? If I ask that question to an audience of 1,000, hardly a hand or two goes up. But when I was a student, I mean, in college, school, I remember going, he took us to Hindustan Liver Factory in Sivri to show how the soap manufacturing is done. So that early exposure there made a big difference. So this industry exposure is very, very critical. Now, whether they will take school children as interns or not, I'm not so sure. But undergraduate students, of course, they take. But our CSR, Council of Scientific Industrial Research, because that does industrial research, they have schemes where they take all these young students. In fact, I started this program when I was the DG of CSR, getting them exposed. So they have to get used to those skills. That is the second point. And the third point is that under corporate social responsibility, there are funds now, 2% of net profit, basically, which is used for this. And I see absolutely no reason why those funds cannot be used for this. But the central point I'm trying to make is that the exposure that you get early enough is very, very critical. That is, and the last point is, there are three things in life that matter. One is ability. The second is attitude. And third is aptitude. Okay? Ability is based on the knowledge that you acquire in different fields. Attitude is your social behavior or other behavioral soft skills and other aspects. But aptitude is something that we don't understand its importance, basically. Because becoming a doctor and becoming an engineer is prestigious, we say our children are going to go for that. No, please. I mean, you have to look at what they are good at. And today, the number of options that they have, in our time, you know, it was either engineer, doctor, or law, or something like that. Now there are 50, 60, 100 different options. So finding out what that aptitude is, basically, what they like most, can be. I've found, for example, very young children, they're so good at robots, you can't just understand, imagine how good they are at robots. And that was found because they were given an opportunity. So I am chairman of the KPIT Technology Innovation Council, and we give awards, by the way, to the children, in the sense, school children, as well as the young undergraduates, basically. And then they are given internship, they are given training. Not only that, KPIT Technology actually works with Vishwakarma Institute of Technology and others to design their curricula. Okay, because they are in advanced automation in electronics and in auto sector. You know, 40% of the business comes from there. So therefore, what they do is that the curriculum is many times done by the teachers who have no idea about what the industry needs. But if the industry itself designs the curricula, you can see the difference it can make. So these guys, they, without having to wait for 1 or 2 years of the internship, they straight away get into the industry, basically. So there are examples of this kind. But the challenge in India is that you can say this is one example, that is one example. We need to scale it all across India. But I'm very happy to see, I was very impressed that you have that particular passion of children getting into this. That's wonderful.
Sir, this is you rightly said. This is what exactly we want, that we can associate some industries to decide the design the curriculums and basically the aptitude. Aptitude, you rightly said, the aptitude assessment is the only thing we can done at the school level, and identify the children which have the better aptitudes. And as far as your exponential learning is concerned, I have already made it the point that the outdoor learning will be done in once in a week, because the science can be learned with the natures and the live examples. Live examples are always good for learning the sound, lights, optics, scatterings, everything. Everything, all phenomena are happening on the live basis. And the visit, as far as visit is concerned, we have already made it the point that visit to the local industries, even the cottage industries, handicraft industries, and whatever is available in the near to the future, near to the schools, and even the post office, banks, and the railway station. These are the three normally available in every vicinity. So at least we can get the exposure of the children. How does they work? How the technology is there, science is there, and the system is there. So this is what we are planning here, sir.
No, this is very good. And you must visit the website of National Innovation Foundation, NIF. And there are special programs for children. Okay. For example, we give annual awards for children who come out with great ideas, by the way. And the President of India himself would give that award, and it's the kind of idea that they would have. We encourage children in many different ways, because when I said be a part of a solution, not be a part of a problem, I'll give you two examples. There is this girl called Ramya. She was studying in school in Kerala. Her father was down with cancer. Her mother was always ill. She had to change 3 buses to go to school, come home, and then actually wash clothes. That was her duty assigned to her, and study. So either she could wash clothes or study. What did she do? She innovated so that she could study while washing clothes. How? She created a pedal-driven washing machine. All right? So that her legs could work, and while she was pedaling, she was reading. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam gave her an award. There's a girl called Shalini in Bihar. What she saw was that her grandfather, when he was walking on the stairs, he had difficulty with his walker. He was struggling. So that girl designed a walker with spring-loaded front end, so as to say. And then we helped them with National Institute of Design in Ahmedabad to make a sophisticated design. That has been licensed out to a company, by the way. Okay, they make 10,000 such walkers every year. And for each walker, she gets 100 rupees. So 100 into 10,000, that is her income. That is more than her father's income. A 13-year-old girl from Bihar. And if there was time, I would give you 100 such examples. So what we have to do is that we have talent, technology, and trust. We have all the talent. We have this technology, but we must trust our children and give them an opportunity, exactly like what you're saying. So please go to NIF, www.nif.org. And there are several schemes to help the children. You're on the mute. Okay. I have another meeting at 5 o'clock. So Kannan Saab, I will have to say goodbye.
Sure, sir, sure. In that case, sir, actually, we heard about you. You are a dangerous optimist. But today, after hearing you, we are highly convinced that you are a deadly dangerous optimist. Okay, sir. now I request Madam Shanti, principal from JNV North Sikkim, to propose a formal vote of thanks to you, sir. Madam, please.
Wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I'm Shanti and I'm calling from the land of the Kanchenjunga.
Oh, yes.
I work in North Sikkim, and it's been a great day today, sir. And on behalf of the entire Awardee Vidyalaya Samiti and the schools which are implementing the Vigyan Jyoti project, I extend my heartfelt thanks. From your beginning in a small place called Mashelkar to winning, I should not say winning, to being conferred doctorate by 42 universities is not by any means a small thing. It's It's a marvelous achievement. And from the words that you have spoken today, sir, I should say that it has been one of the most inspiring talks, because your 77 years of experience is there in your talk. There is a lot of humility in your talk, and we could all connect ourselves so well, because you're not talking about unusual things. You're talking about Ramya, Shalini, who are all people whom we are seeing around us. So the definition to put for you, I don't know whether you are a scientist, a technocrat, an administrator, an activist, a visionary, but I should say you are an excellent communicator, sir.
Thank you.
From the minute your talk began, till the time you said that you have another meeting at 5 o'clock, you have connected so well to all of us, and all the points that you have told us, sir. It is about lack of gadgets or lack of opportunities. All these things are things which we are seeing around us, and your life itself is a very big example. How we will be able to come out of all the struggles, how we will be able to tackle things in an effective way, how we will knock at every door, or if there is no door, make a door and create an opportunity. Wonderful, sir. We are all feeling really happy, especially I should say thanks to Kannan for introducing you to the big crowd in the Vigyan Jyoti group. And till yesterday, I was not a fan of you, sir. From today, of course, I'm a fan. And I happened to read your tweet, and the tweet sums up the whole thing. There is no limit to human imagination, no limit to human endurance, no limit to human achievements, excepting the one that human puts upon himself. What better way to say, sir? Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much on behalf of all the kids of Navodaya, on behalf of all the principals of Vigyan Jyoti project, on behalf of commissioners, sir, joint commissioners, and the entire crowd here. Your message will be taken. Wonderful talk, sir. We feel immensely happy. Thank you so much on behalf of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Please, you carry on. Thank you, sir. Thank you.